bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there, Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door! He knocks it down!
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on Sirius XM FC.
Welcome, everyone, to a new edition of USL All Access. A very happy Tuesday, wherever you might be, with Emmett McConnell at the controls and Devon Kerr. Mike Watts, beginning this episode with a very solemn announcement. My contract is expiring tonight, and it's with great regret that I announce this is my final show. I've covered the league now for 10 years, and while I really wanted to do the game on Sunday, ultimately it was in the hands of Matt Fisher and the league, and I just won't be able to move forward. April Fools, Devon, welcome to the show. Let's do this.
April Fools, they actually fired Devon. That's what it should have been. It took me all of about 3 seconds to figure out where you were going, and I'm like, oh, wait, do I need to hold this laugh back? No, because I have it on speaker only instead of gallery, so I can smile all that I want, and no one's going to see me.
Can I just say my least favorite part of this whole, like, if you're going to do a well-executed prank, do it. But just, like, writing on Twitter absolute lies and saying April Fools, like...
Oh, dude, no. Listen to this. I got one for you and one that I want to plan. When I was in my early 20s, my mom at that point in time had transitioned out of the doctor's office rooms. She was an RN who had worked for a wide variety of physicians and moved into more office management, specifically on the billing side. The doctor that she was in charge of her office for, the office manager, basically had a skeleton staff. She was up and coming. I'd gotten a speeding ticket. And at that point in time, I had moved out of my apartment. I had changed my address to my mom's because I didn't have a physical place yet. I didn't know where I was going to end up because I was trying to get a contract. Long story short, mail went there. Obviously, the inbox gets overloaded with all of these lawyers. How can we help? Got a speeding ticket, blah, blah, blah. Instead of my mom just addressing it with me, because I'm an adult, she got the woman who worked at the office with her to impersonate a sheriff's officer, saying that there was a warrant out for my arrest because of this speeding ticket.
That's a good prank.
I tell you, man, I did something in my pants that I didn't know was possible that day that I'm still trying to figure out how to clean up. But to your point, well executed. Well executed.
That's so gross. What's that even mean?
I know. Who lies to someone on the phone like that? Who treats someone that way?
About.
And who throws a shoe?
Honestly.
Happy week 4. That was.
Is that what you want to execute on someone else? Or
I could tell you the story that I want to do.
You've got 25 seconds.
My wife went to Trader Joe's yesterday. As she was checking out, the credit card machine sort of turned off. I did, in fact, get charged as I saw it show up on my bank statement. She asked me to check my card. I was talking to a producer of ours. I said I couldn't do it. And important now, cashier said nothing went through. Casey then texts me. She didn't say I'm going to beat this girl up. She said something a little bit more aggressive. We'll just say that.
Oh, wow.
And with the screenshot that came back with my bank statement that showed the card going through, she sued the cashier who saw the threat on her life.
Oh.
My wife now thinks that Trader Joe's is going to file legal proceedings against her. Hand to God. So I am going to get someone to impersonate a Trader Joe's employee as if I'm whispering and she can hear me in this soundproof room and call her and say that an employee has filed a complaint and the authorities are going to get involved. I think it's pretty solid.
Devon, I don't know if this is the week to do it, but
oh yeah, I forgot about that. I got an alibi though. We're 4 minutes into the show. Nothing happened, Casey. Nothing.
Innocence. All right, Dev, let's chat about it. Look, we're gonna have Mitchell Taintor on later in the show. He's the former Defender of the Year from 2022, multi-year extension in San Antonio last year. San Antonio hosting Phoenix Rising on CBS Sunday afternoon. Devon and I will be there to call it with Marion Crowder. Can't wait. We'll preview the game, chat about the perfection in San Antonio through 4 weeks. Plenty more. But we begin with really the idea that there are still 2 unbeatens remaining here, Devon. I called both teams' games last week, and so it was fun sort of getting a front row seat to this. Louisville City 2-0 over Detroit. San Antonio 3-2 in Lexington. Went down 2-0 in that game. Let's start with Louisville because there's a lot of San Antonio to be talked about later in the show. And I see your joke in our format where it says they're the only one with a perfect bracket. See what I did there. I saw what you did. I just didn't like it. You can't play the same team twice in a bracket, Devin. I mean, for Christ's sake. Louisville played Detroit on Saturday afternoon. 2-0 win. Ray Serrano bags another goal, 3 in his first 4. The second goal is Jansen Wilson. Sorry,
there
off
you
the
go.
bench.
There you go.
I'm like,
so you can or cannot read the format, Mike.
I had it in my head, and then I'm like,
it's a
wait
big
a minute.
word.
It's fun. It's funny when Jansen scores and I say Wilson. I'm thinking Wilson Harris.
Of course.
I'm still in that vein.
Who's balling out, by the way. Had another goal and assist on the weekend.
I know. He is out there terrorizing Israeli defenses. Sean Totsch, over 22,000 minutes. Second player to do so in regular season history. He's right behind King Kenny now. He should, in theory, do it next week. Kevin Lambert got sent off in the 84th minute. We'll miss the Sacramento game on Saturday.
55 minutes for Sean Totsch to eclipse King Kenny. My question to you is this, and all the listeners.
Bring Kenny out of retirement.
Yeah, right? Take him off the sideline and just let him fly. I'm a peacock. What's the record in terms of regular season accolades that's most likely to fall next? Kenardo Forbes, 295 regular season appearances. Alex Dixon, next closest at 278. 17 games, half a season. Possible. Sean Totsch, by the way, is 4 behind that at 274. That's very possible. Goals, to me, is not going to happen ever. Dane Kelly, 106. The next closest, Nico Brett, 81. The next closest active, Cam Lancaster at 80. The youngest in that conversation, Augie Williams, sitting at 77. Assists, Kenardo Forbes, 66. Solomon Asante, 58. Next closest active, Enzo at 51. Aiden Quinn at 50. Both of those guys are my boys. You guys better get it together. I think we can all agree that appearances are probably the next one to fall, and most likely not to fall anywhere in the near future as goals.
Yeah.
Augie
actually does have a chance.
I think
long run.
I think Augie has a chance. I'm not necessarily sure where he's at as the fit for it to get him there.
Right.
Anything's possible. Albert Dequa proved that.
Correct.
So, does
Kenardo
Forbes ever lose the assist record?
Yes, at some point.
To anyone that is currently in the top 10. I don't know if you have your book open or not.
I don't, but
the only people currently active in the top 10, Brian Ownby, Roro Lopez, Aiden Quinn, Enzo Martinez. So the answer is no.
No.
I've gone on record before saying no one's catching Kenardo.
Jorge Hernandez, if he stays around long enough. I could see that.
Ooh. I mean, oof. Put it this way. The system he's in now, much more viable.
Yeah. Although he was getting plenty of dimes even in the last system.
Yeah, the system was already a part of a little bit of a changeover, though, I would say.
Yeah.
He gets more free reign. We'll get to that, right, when we talk about San Antonio. I mean, obviously, when I talked about the perfect bracket, they're 4-0. Louisville haven't lost either, but Louisville do have a draw. But, San Antonio's got some interesting demons themselves that we're going to break down in segment 4 when we preview the game against Phoenix Rising on CBS.
No doubt. As it
Shameless
pertains
promo.
to the actual Louisville game that occurred over the weekend, 2-0 over Detroit. If I'm Danny Dicchio, I'm going, that was our worst performance of the season. Louisville's pressure was excellent. Spoke with Danny Cruz going into this game. I loved this from him because this is so Louisvillian of their approach. After the Birmingham game, they did no film on the tactics of the game. The only film they did was about the level of intensity in actions that they took and that it wasn't good enough. And that's why they dropped points. And so what do they do against Loudoun? What do they do against Detroit? Ran them off the park.
Beat the ever-living you-know-what out of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
agree with you.
that's where Louisville separates, is them letting their guard down was getting a draw against a very talented Birmingham team. Them at their best was really not being close, despite only 4 goals in 2 games. And I know only that you get my point. It wasn't like they blew them out 6-0, but there was no question the last 2 weeks whether Loudoun or Detroit could lay a glove on them. They didn't.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. By the way, Ray Serrano now, dear Lord, just doing the counting as we're on the fly. We all know that it's not a good recipe for success for me. 19 goal contributions in 38 regular season games.
Kindest way to say this, there's no way he's there next year, right?
Oh, that is an interesting way to phrase it. I didn't know where you were going with that.
He's
personally
22,
felt
underratedly.
Yeah, here's the problem. So last year, Elijah Weiner wins Young Player of the Year, right? I personally felt Ray deserved it. That was my initial reaction. I think long-term they got it right with Elijah Weiner. The reason I say I felt it should have been Ray Serrano was because, to your point, we've seen him 7 years now, if I'm not mistaken, dating back to Seattle
Tacoma.
Sounders 2 and now Tacoma Defiance. 7 years. So your brain goes, wow, look at what we're finally getting out of the expectation that was. It's not fair to judge an award based upon that because Young Player of the Year is about this season and the way that they performed. So my knee-jerk reaction was about fulfillment and its total artistry as opposed to a 34-game regular season schedule that was. I totally agree with you that you would think that if he follows it up, and I'd go a step further, if you have Ray Serrano with another great year, Davila in the midfield with another great year, that team is going to see 2, maybe 3 players. I have one that is not going to be named yet just because I'll share it with you off air, that could quickly be poached out of that organization.
Yep. I'll also say, and I say this a lot in the women's game where it's been more common for players to go all the way through senior year because there's less stability in gaining a pro contract. But like Trinity Rodman is 20. You're talking about a college sophomore, junior. In the case of Ray Serrano, we're talking about if he had just gone to the University of Washington, we'd be talking about a first-round draft pick out of Washington playing with a 2 team getting his first pro minutes.
Yeah.
That's where he'd be right now.
Yeah.
And instead, he's 7 years into his pro career, 100-plus appearances in the championship, and to your point, probably the Young Player of the Year last year if we just graded it purely on the genuine standard that it had been laid out as the best under 23 player.
We can kind of bring all this full circle just because I've got an update in my inbox. The USL Championship guru, Nicholas Murray, I reached out to him and said, with the 4-0 start for San Antonio FC, how many teams have done it all time, and what do their accomplishments look like on the back end? Mike, can you guess how many teams have done it all time, including San Antonio this year? 4 games up, 4 wins?
I feel like Tampa's done it at least once.
Not unbeaten. All wins. That's
all
the
wins.
asterisk for Tampa.
Did Detroit do it last year?
Detroit did do it last year. Detroit did 5 straight games last year. Louisville City did 4 straight games last year. And they actually share some interesting company. If you go back through the modern era of USL Championship history, there have been 9 overall. 9. Did he include this year?
And they all won the trophy at the end.
No. There have been 9 overall. San Antonio makes 10 this season. Only 1 have gone on to win the title. 2018 Louisville City. My trivia for you is actually who didn't make the playoffs. I think you should get this, by the way.
Who didn't make the playoffs?
Past 5 years, a team, excellent roster, should have pushed teams around, did in a lot of instances, and missed the playoffs. If you need a year hint, I'll give it to you.
No, bring it, yeah.
2020.
Indy.
Yes, that's my boy. Oh, that's my boy.
We spent that whole year going, they're fine.
Oh, my God. They took
took a third of their season and didn't lose, and then they went 2/3 of their season and didn't win.
Dude, there were some awesome games, though, and I know everybody in Hound Tan Nation is going to have to drink for this one. They've got a fun drinking game we'll tell you about another time. the Tyler Pasher goal in the 90th minute where he went 70 yards down the side, left-footed upper corner at high mark, sits in my memory for eternity.
I was doing Challenge Cup at the time. You were doing like every national TV game for USL. I was doing the vast majority, but those days were nuts.
Dude,
And that
Nisa
goal
as well.
is like one of 3 things from that entire month and a half span that I can remember.
Oh, yeah? And those late nights of Rocket League, baby.
Oh, my God. Dev, let's motor here a little bit.
Yeah.
Fair to say, though, Louisville, that was fairly dominant.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Conversely, San Antonio, to your point, 4-4, a 3-2 win over Lexington. We'll chat about it a little bit later. Russell Cicerone up to 63 goals, 25 dimes. Draw against Switchbacks couple games back. Dev, 7th all-time to do it. I cannot name the others.
Yeah, a little surprised by two. Surprised by 2 of them because only 7 players all-time, including Cicerone, have hit 60 goals and 25 assists. The Great Dane Kelly, no surprise there. Enzo Martinez, that's an easy one. Nico Brett, that's an easy one. Father Time never defeating Jorge Herrera, another layup. To me, the 2 hardest ones are Corey Hertzog and Alex Dixon. That's a tenure thing. That's not a knock on talent. Just didn't think that. I didn't think, to be honest, Corey Hertzog had that many assists, and I certainly didn't think Alex Dixon had 64 goals. Both awesome players and have done it in such a wide variety of ways. I just didn't pick up.
Yeah. Dev, Sacramento goes down. Unbeaten run ends against Tulsa 1-0. It was a 14-match unbeaten streak of another kind. Sac had never lost to Tulsa since they came into the league. That is the longest formerly active streak in league history. Dev, are we not talking about Tulsa enough?
I'm undecided. I am. We've given them their praise. Maybe we haven't gone as in depth as people would have liked so far. Here's my thing about Tulsa, as is a lot of what's going on in the Western Conference. There are a lot of teams sitting right there near the top. New Mexico's in this conversation as well. Obviously, Sac's a different one because they're a game behind, but the North Carolina loss is troubling. The Sac win, to me, is excellent. I don't know what to make of the Rowdies win yet. So the Phoenix win should be there. What I'm saying is out of the 4 games, there are really 2 matches that I'm like, okay, you shouldn't have lost to North Carolina, certainly not at home. And it's a big win over Sac. The other 2, it's like Phoenix, that's a wash right now. We'll get to that. And the Rowdies, I think, are kind of trying to find their own way as well. So 2 games out of 4 does not make a stand for me.
Yeah. Dev, anything else here that you're excited about chatting about, or is it fair we
can move.
Advance?
Let's tease segment 2. Give him the title. I worked hard on this. It took me all of 6 seconds.
The results, the worries, the whys. Next on Sirius XM FC.
Let's get back to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone, to USL All Access. Miss any part of the show, available on the Sirius XM app. Mitchell Taintor joins us later in the hour. And also USL on CBS and Sirius XM FC on Sunday. A reminder, 3 Central, 4 Eastern, San Antonio, and Phoenix. Phoenix, a bit of the topic in this segment, Dev. Let's chat a little bit about the teams who have yet to win a game. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is honest to God. Of the 6, 5 are surprising, and 1 is Miami. Let's start in the East.
Dear Lord, bro.
I couldn't help myself.
Birmingham. You didn't even tag me in. You just went for the pin yourself.
I did. Look, so let's start with Birmingham. Look, 0-2-2, you can sit here and say you lost to Loudoun, and on opening day, that's a disappointment at home. And then you see Loudoun's better than you thought. You draw Louisville. Louisville walks away going, we didn't even try hard enough. You lose at Pittsburgh after a draw at Detroit. Really tough venues to go to. Also, they have not played a game on grass yet, somehow, and they're a month into the season. Are you that concerned? They also lost in the Open Cup. So
that's probably why I'm a little bit more concerned. The Little Rock Rangers in the first round. The only USL championship team, that's a big word, and 6 out of 32 pro teams to get bounced, I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm not convinced at the center back pairing for Fanuel Kavita. They lack identity, again, for me going forward. And I say the reason I'm not convinced for the probably fourth, definitively third, maybe fourth year running now, I look at the roster for Birmingham Legion, and I think this should be a top 4 team. And here we are again. So lack of identity is something that's going to be, for a couple of these teams, a theme. But those struggles against those teams and the way that they did it, I'm also looking for some leadership. The loss of Alex Cronelli is a big one, basically, is where we're going here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't look at them and go automatic top 4, but they damn well better make the playoffs.
Well,
you did not invest like this to miss the playoffs again.
100%. Okay, that's fair. You look at them and say, non-negotiable postseason appearance.
Yeah.
Quality performances, people stepping up, good coaching, top 4 shouldn't be an issue.
In theory.
Yeah.
Dev, Rhode Island, kind of a similar start to what they did last year. A couple of losses and a draw. They lose at Charleston in the conference final rematch. They go away to Phoenix and get a draw, and then they go to Loudoun and lose 2-0 over the weekend. They had a bye to start the season. They're starting with 6 on the road because of the stadium not being ready until the beginning or middle of May. I sort of look at it like last year. You don't even have a home yet. Last year it was, we're just getting a team off the ground. They kept 80% of the group together, although they lost some critical loanees that I thought were really valuable at the end of the season. I'm not sounding any alarms around Rhode Island. I'm just saying it's not all that sustainable historically to go out and start 3, 4, 5, 6 without a win and expect to go somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that from a statistical standpoint. I would say that stylistically, I don't care. While I don't think that they were on anybody's radar for an Eastern Conference title, deserved to get there, fluke run or not my words, other people's, the roster got better. We saw this from the Rowdies last year. They had an established home and didn't do well away from Al Lang, and we'll get to that. Pawtucket hasn't even opened yet. They play 2 home games until the beginning of June. Like, this is going to be a little bit of struggle to get things going. I believe in the roster. It's that simple for me. I pass barely any concern on this situation right now.
All right, let's turn to Hartford. Year 2 for Brendan Burke. They are 3 losses from 3 to start. They lost at Lexington opening day, hit by that wild scorcher. Lost at Pittsburgh. Finally, their home opener, a 2-1 defeat at the hands of El Paso. Having spoken to Brendan Burke about the El Paso game, super disciplined, beaten twice on set pieces. That's the El Paso way of going on the road and beating you, and they allowed it to happen. I also get the feeling that it's time for the vets to stand up and be counted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did we not address this going into the year?
I believe we did.
It is insane to me, the amount of experience that they carry on that roster, and not just experience within the championship, but under Brendan Burke. Seb Anderson, outside back, is a great example of that. You look at Joey Farrell, Makangila in the midfield, Galena, Beckford, Scarlett. You were brought in for one reason and one reason only. It is to steer this roster. Those guys have plenty of talent to do it, and yet every single time that I've seen them, 3 games out of 4, I'm confused.
It's perplexing, isn't it?
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I'm the first one to look at a team and be like, they're not good enough and they don't have this. And I just don't see that with Hartford. I think Hartford is struggling with a bunch of different ideas, combination of attacking and defending for sure. But defending was the biggest thing that I looked at. And defending comes with a lot of communication and leadership. And for guys that have been so good at that for the majority of their careers, to me, be falling flat on their face right now, it's insane. Honestly, I thought it would have been better this early.
I think he feels the same way and would not be surprised if they started looking around to tweak that roster. They did it last year. Last year was supposed to be foundational, and let's find our guys. And I think they
found some of that too.
Yeah, but I still think it's not a finished product in that sense.
No.
You know?
Look, here's a good example. while certainly results different, so was the conference and all of that. Go back and look at Colorado Springs year 1 to year 2. What happened in year 3?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to require more patience than the Hartford front office has typically shown.
Well, that's the statement of the century.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Dear Lord.
I know. Captain
There's
Obvious.
there are not enough minutes in a show for me to talk about that, honestly.
You're going to
Nor
look
do
at
I want to, given some things that have gone on behind the scenes.
No, that's not really the point, but it is a case where 3 losses in 3 stings. Doesn't mean pull the ripcord, but there is some concern.
Yes, and to be fair, that would also lead me to our next participant in said game. I'm also a big, as you know, Mike, I'm a big proponent of let people do their jobs. And I think if you bring someone in and give a long tenured contract to a coach like Brendan Burke, you got to let him work his magic. And a year and 4 games is not it.
No. And I don't get the feeling they're concerned as a staff about that. This is more just an overarching statement.
Yeah, Miami's a different conversation. You
Indeed.
said everybody else in Miami. You know, I look at the team. I still see no identity whatsoever. They talk about wanting to be aggressive, about chasing games, playing vertical. I see none of it. None of it.
How much of this, you lost to Detroit at home, you lose to Indy at home, you lose to Tampa Bay at home, you lose to New Mexico at home. For one, you just played a quarter of your home games and lost all 4 of them. Not a great start.
No.
You could also argue that they averaged 1,500 fans and that they may actually be better on the road. But that's also 4 teams where at the beginning of the year, I am absolutely writing all 4 of them into the playoffs and probably 2 of them into the respective top 4s.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
That's a tough go. It doesn't negate anything you just said about
I'm less
lack of
concerned
identity.
about results as I am about lack of response and lack of identity.
Yeah.
Show me something.
And going out and getting 3 35-year-old veterans is not historically a very good idea in this league.
If you told me that there was a stopwatch in every player in that game against New Mexico, and at no point in time did anybody move faster than 7 seconds over a 40-yard stretch, I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow.
It was slow.
Yeah.
Painstakingly. Credit to New Mexico in certain areas that they put them in that position, but just care.
Yeah.
People, I want to talk tactics. I want to break things down. To your point about Louisville to start the show off, show some ambition and care. The crest means something.
To the west, everything without a win in the West. Oakland lost in front of 26,000 against San Antonio. Had that wild bicycle kick, conceded the final 2 of that game. They lost at Orange County. They lost at Monterey, so they are 0 for California. They finally got off the schneid with a draw against Las Vegas. It's not a complete team yet. Not everyone, I mean, they're a little banged up, it seems. This is how they finished last year, so there's a trend here. I also think they are a much more cohesive unit and that they're more likely to dig out of it.
I would agree with that. Can I tell you that in terms of what the player brings to a team, small sample size, and I get it, I wasn't sure Johnny Rodriguez would affect us this much. And
I'm not surprised by that.
Listen to me. And what I mean by that, I'm stepping away from goals and assists. His work rate, which is lacking in certain areas. I liked what I've seen out of Wilson. We've talked about that before. I think you need more out of Panos. It's not even a question. Tyler Gibson needs some help in the midfield. His legs look long. He looks tired. But the intensity that Johnny Rodriguez brought to that team, even for some people, not as consistent as they would have liked, I think has fallen over. And there's a little bit of a fallout here that has not been kind to this group.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about them.
I'm also going to say, when am I going to see the best of Panos Armenakis for longer than 3 or 4 games in a row?
I said this last year. All due respect to him. When did all of a sudden he become God's given talent for the USL Championship?
I mean, he said it the day he arrived.
Yeah, self-proclaimed. That's great. I got a throne in my house. It doesn't mean I sit on it.
You do from time to time. All right, and then Phoenix we'll chat about a little bit more later. Here's the stat for them. They've conceded 10 goals. They're the first in the league to touch double digits. You aren't going to win anything until you stop a nosebleed.
Love that saying. Good for you.
Anything to add there, or we'll do it later?
Take me to break. My nose is bleeding.
All right. When we come back, Mitchell Taintor, captain, center back at San Antonio, joins us to preview the game on CBS on Sunday. And also you can hear it right here on XMFC. Back in a moment on USL All Access.
Giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on Sirius XM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everyone. It is Tuesday night, USL All Access, and this is no April Fool's joke. We're joined by the former Defender of the Year. He is going to be with San Antonio FC for the big matchup on Sunday against Phoenix. 3 Central, 4 Eastern. On CBS and here on the channel. Mitchell Taintor joins us on the show. It's Mike and Devon. Happy to have you jump on with us. It's been too many minutes.
Been too many minutes. I appreciate it, guys. It's always an entertaining chat. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Just so everybody at home understands, what that really means is we should have aired all of the B-roll before we came on air instead of the back and forth that will
be. Mitch, before we even get going, maybe Carlos Llamosa said, there's a strict no talking about it policy. How's the leg feeling? Came off a little early last week.
Yeah, it was more precautionary than anything. I think my body, just gave me a warning sign of, hey, like let's take it easy right now. And it just made sense. Didn't really want to risk anything. And, I knew Alexi was going to come on like he has been and help close up the shop. And immediately right when he came in too, he made a massive block in the box, he jumped right into the deep end, and he played a fantastic game. So no, it was a good decision by me and great by Alexi to come in and finish the job.
Is it true that it warmed your mom's heart when I was speaking so eloquently about what you mean to San Antonio football?
Yeah, so she loves when everyone says nice things about me, obviously. And I didn't realize that you were the one calling the game until I saw one of the replays on Twitter, and once I realized, I was like, oh shit, didn't realize that was you. But yeah, my mom appreciates all the good words from both of you guys.
Love you, Mrs. Taintor. All the best. Mitch, Dev's got a bunch of questions about maybe the change of San Antonio, but the constant really is you. Signed a multi-year extension last year with the club. It ties a lot of the prime years of your career to this club. If there's a USL Hall of Fame one day, you're probably going in a San Antonio jersey. Why did it mean so much for you to stay and see this into another chapter here in San Antonio?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I arrived here in 2020, not really sure what to expect. But, the Allen and the club at the time, took a chance on me and really believed in me. And, we had, 5 incredible years with lots of highs. And, last year, I was a free agent, and the year didn't go as planned, and I just didn't feel right leaving on those terms. I felt like there's still more to the story to be written. And San Antonio is my home now. I love being here. I love representing the city, and playing in front of Toyota Field, all these people every week. Sports in South Texas are different. I feel at home here. I feel like one of the people, and it just made sense for me to stay. It's just, part of the legacy I want to leave here, and, I want to continue to reach new heights with this club.
Mitch, the end of 2023, San Antonio FC appoints Marco Ferruzzi as the sporting director. For those that don't know, nearly 2 decades at FC Dallas as both a coach on the sidelines, interim and assistant, as well as in the front office, holding a wide variety of roles. Marco comes in, the style of how he wanted to go about business, both off the field, as well as how maybe he saw the game on the field. Some might say conflicting from afar in terms of how Alan Marcina saw the game. Neither right nor wrong. Alan Marcina departs in the offseason. Now it's a whole new regime. Carlos Llamosa comes in, right? When you run through the supporting cast on the sideline, Freddie Herrera, you and I were talking about it, Dom Oduro, right? Even Preston Petrie, who at one point in time was what some would call a lonely communications person. You're crazy to think that, by the way. The guy's super talented. Now the assistant sporting director. This is different for you and why you want to continue that journey. But the journey itself is a very different team than what we saw take down the treble in 2022. Can you maybe describe what the last 18 months in the organization have been like?
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously when there's a bunch of changes from the top, it's different. There's different philosophies, different styles, and there's always a transition, and transitions are difficult for everybody. But again, I felt like going into free agency, I was pretty much, signing with a new club regardless of where I went. And I spoke to Preston a ton. I have a great relationship with him. Spoke to Marco and, the members of the staff who are still here. And it was just clear that the club was moving in the right direction. And, you can call it a risk to stay here because it was a transition. A new coach, you never know what's going to happen, but it's been fantastic so far. Carlos is a great manager, great person. The supporting staff has been great. So it's just been a 10-10 experience so far.
Can you confirm, in fact, that Preston Petrie does actually have the best cowboy boot game in the business?
Oh, dude, it's crazy. He comes in with a new pair of Lucchese's every week. He's got the ostrich, the Cayman. He's got it all, man.
Yeah, legend in his own mind and in ours as well.
Yeah.
Again, Preston Petrie, assistant sporting director at San Antonio FC. Mitch, I'm curious in terms, I want to go in the locker room here for a second. You and Shannon Gomez, in terms of full-time players, the only two remaining from that 22 team. Now, Nicky Hernandez was on loan from FC Dallas that year, so he was a part of that group. But that 22 group, we documented a ton of it. One of only 3 teams to ever win the treble. That's the regular season champion known as the Players' Shield, to take down your respective title, of course, Western Conference champions, and then USL Championship title winners. What's the locker room like now, and how would you compare it to that 22 group? Obviously, it's very early on.
It's so early on, and it's almost impossible to compare the two. There are similarities. It's funny you bring up Nicky Hernandez too, because I was talking to Preston, mid-July last year. We were talking about the makeup of a championship team in the locker room. And, it's not always the starters who are the most important guys, but the guys coming off the bench. And I was like, in order to win a championship, you need guys like Nicky. He's an unbelievable teammate, amazing player. He's only gotten better over the years. And they ended up signing him. I was so happy when I heard the news. But yeah, this locker room is a special one. All the guys came in ready to go with one goal, the same goal. We come from all over the world. And, I think, now with Carlos's influence, it's very South American. Every South American who's come to play for San Antonio FC has been fantastic pros, fantastic players, just amazing people to work with. And their mentality to win is second to none. So we have a lot of that. We have a lot of fighters in the group. The mentality's strong. And we can ball too, and we're only going to get better. And I think, the mentality, you can't teach that. We tried teaching it last year in 2024, just wasn't happening. But now we came in with a really solid foundation of where we want to go as a team, where we want to go as individuals, and how do we do it together. And, you can see that with the start. It's obviously super early. But no, things are moving in a really good direction. And, the mentality is quite similar to 2022, which is, obviously where you want to be.
You're listening to USL All Access on Sirius XM FC. We're speaking with Mitchell Taintor of San Antonio FC in the USL Championship Western Conference. The only team left, by the way, 4 games up, 4 games down, perfect record, perfect bracket remaining, oddly enough, because you guys are going to take shape on Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Central against Phoenix Rising. Let's talk about some of the in-game things that are different and maybe tactically how you've been challenged. Alan Marcina had a very distinct style of playing, and there was a lot of intensity brought to that. There was belief. You guys coined yourself, and we've taken it and run with it, the mentality monsters, that next man up type thing. Connor Manolini playing center back, playing wing back, playing striker. Of course, he was part of that title-winning team. You're a little bit more stationary when it comes to where you're going to be on the field at the center back position. But compare the two managers and how your game has evolved under Carlos compared to how Alan wanted you to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first off, speaking about Alan, like, he is the reason why I'm the player I am now, and the success that I've had. He completely rewired my brain, my mentality, my intensity, and just everything, right? So I took all the best parts that Alan taught me, and now I'm bringing that into this new team with Carlos, who was a center back, played in the World Cup for the U.S., a ton of experience. His personality is completely different to Alan. The way he sees the game is different. So we're doing a lot more possession oriented, style of play, still direct at times. But it's quite fluid, and I think it fits everyone's game style. And like I said, it helps when everyone is kind of on the same page already. That South American influence, they all kind of know, how they want to play. They've got the rhythm together. So yeah, it's quite different with the ball. But defensively, it's pretty similar as well. We're working more on the, defending in blocks, but that intensity, that mentality is still the same. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a transition. But no, it's been good. It's been pretty seamless so far.
2022, Mike mentioned it earlier. Not only did you guys win the treble, but you were named USL Championship Defender of the Year. It's probably, at least for my money, the tightest race we've ever seen in terms of the conversation of a defender getting into the mix for an MVP. Now, the voting odds told a different story. I believe it was, I'm looking at it right now, 11 players overall, yourself included, that did receive MVP ballot voting. While you were not in the top 3, I have no doubt in my mind that you were in the top 5. Do you think, given the way that the game is and the era that we're in, there's a chance in this league for a defender to be named MVP?
I hope so. I think when you talk about most valuable player, it's not always the player that scores all the goals or, is the best defender. I think it's just the total encompassing aspects that a player brings to the game. And, obviously your team has to be winning and you need to do some spectacular things on the field. But I think it's really the impact that you have on your teammates, getting other people to play better, raising the standard of the team, of yourself, of all the guys. But yeah, I certainly hope that a defender can win MVP. I thought Jack Gurr in 2023 was crazy.
Awesome.
He was unreal that year. And I thought he should have gotten MVP as well. Leo Fernandez is my boy, but, I thought in 2022, I was up there for MVP. But no, he was sick that year. So I think, just depending on how the year goes, I think, it just, the mentality needs to shift of, who has the most impact on the team, not just, the goals or the stats or anything. I think there's a different nuance to it.
Mike, do you know who finished second and third that year?
I don't.
Aaron Malloy was second, Haji Berry third. The throne is yours, Michael.
Oh, sure. Mitchell Taintor with us here on USL All Access. Devin's the one asking the quirky questions. I'm kidding. This is about to get weird, pal. Before we get there, perfect through 4. Expectations for this group, is it trophy? Is that where your head's at?
My head's always at trophy. So I think that's why last year was just so devastating, and you have these dreams and aspirations and, you fall short, regardless if it's way short or short, it's still, it's soul crushing. But yeah, we're 4 for 4 right now. I think the strength of the group is, we're just having fun with it right now. We're having fun, growing together, enjoying the locker room, taking it one game at a time. Every game is a new season, and that's how we think about it. We're 4-0 right now. If we think, okay, we got 30 games left, let's win all 30, there's no chance. And just take it game by game. Obviously, every single team is trying to win every single game. We've been fortunate enough to do that the first 4 weeks, but it's about winning the games in training. Like, that is where the wins come on Saturday and on Sunday, because we work our absolute tails off every day. And I think that's where the wins come from. And obviously we have to perform on Saturdays, but we're taking it one game at a time. It's the easiest way to think about it. One game at a time, new season every Saturday. And then, chips will fall where they fall.
Mitch, if they were to build a statue of you in the year of our Lord 2032, you're retiring, you've won 3 more trophies, you're joining the lead broadcast team for CBS with me and Devin. All this is happening.
Knew it was coming. It's coming.
Shaq was dunking. Kobe was hitting a fadeaway in their statues. What are you doing in yours?
Oh, I know the answer to this.
Is it the RGV goal?
Without a doubt.
Without
a doubt. 100%. Right, not even a question, man.
Yeah,
that was easy.
Photo.
Okay.
Now we're going to have to figure out how to transpose that into the Sirius XMFC broadcast, considering there's no video.
I know. Center backs that you're watching in the league that you enjoy watching most?
Alex Granelli. That guy's a beast, man. I know he's my teammate, but listen, he's came in and, it's been amazing to play with a guy who has just as much to prove as me. It's funny. We talked, because he was a free agent last year too. And we just kind of spoke about what it was like going through negotiations with teams. And we're just like, yeah, man, everyone was just like, oh, you guys are 30. Like, we can't do this or whatever. And it's like, we're young, man. We got a point to prove. Like, we're ready to put our bodies on the line, play great football, win games. And yeah, I think both of us, we have that chip on our shoulder this year. And same with Alexi. He's 30 years old as well. So bunch of old 30-year-old guys ready to kick some ass this year and just keep improving together.
If I'm a striker, I'm bubble wrapping my ankles before
Yeah,
I see you, and maybe my head too. I'm wearing the check helmet. Best tacos in San Antonio are?
Taquitos and Panaderia West Ave, baby.
See you
Unreal.
there. Best jersey in the league that isn't one you've worn?
Ooh, I think the Oakland ones, the black ones with their, I don't even know how to call it, not their checkers, but their
Mosaic.
Yeah, the mosaic on. I think those are sick.
Final Four is this weekend. Are you a Rutgers fan? Are you a UConn fan because of your grandfather? Who you got?
I got to go with Rutgers. I mean, I've got all the respect in the world for UConn, but I'm a Scarlet Knight through and through.
Same barber as 2022?
Same barber as 2020, man. I'm loyal to my guy.
Get in there. That's my boy. You stay
Yeah,
strong, man.
I
We
got
know how to
to.
roll, Mike. Don't fault him off the game.
Devin will be headed to him on Saturday morning. Mitch, appreciate the time. You're the best, man. Good luck on Sunday, and can't wait to see you in San Antonio.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. See you soon.
Miss a part of the interview, it's available tomorrow on the USL YouTube page or on the SiriusXM app. When we're back, we preview the big one on CBS on Sunday, San Antonio and Phoenix. Stick around.
You're listening to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
We're back on USL All Access. Miss a part of the great interview with Mitchell Taintor. It's available on the SiriusXM app or the USL YouTube page tomorrow. All right, Dev. 3 Central, 4 Eastern. There's plenty of games that occur before it, but it's San Antonio and Phoenix on CBS, and you'll hear it here on SiriusXM FC. It's one of 2 CBS games in the regular season. We're also on network television July 19th, Hartford at Rhode Island for El Clamico. San Antonio, perfect through 4 games. More defensively stable, less man marking than the Alan Marcina style. They've only given up 3 goals in the last 2 games. The Bike in Oakland gave up 2 in 5 minutes last week against Lexington on the road. Phoenix 0-2 through 4. They gave up 10 goals in March. That's the most in the league. They will not have Pop Marboy nor Carl Santi, who was suspended, both for red cards accumulated in the 3-1 loss to Monterey Bay over the weekend. Dev, give us the breakdown. What's this going to look like?
Okay, let's start with the good. The good is San Antonio FC for sure. Ironically, though, the stats that just accompanied your opening statement, well taken, by the way, I don't think this is anywhere near a finished product on the attacking side. For a team that sits second in the USL Championship for total goals scored, I think they've been a bit fortunate in that area. Certainly counterattacking has helped them out, but under this manager, Carlos Llamosa, he wants to be ball dominant, make you feel uncomfortable. I don't think they've done that anywhere near to his liking. So defensively is where they've succeeded. Transitional defending has been incredible. There's been good goalkeeping. They are beyond organized in such a wide variety of ways. They overload you in the midfield. They challenge you on the width. They need some consistency up top in the 9. If I turn and look at the opponent in Phoenix Rising, to me it's simple. A ton of talent, and then everything else is brand new. So you have a new manager, new supporting staff, outside of Corey Robertson on the bench. Pamanuka comes in. It's very clear how he wants to play, with intensity, togetherness. He also wants to try and play vertical, and they want to be ball dominant. A lot of very young players, though familiarity in some areas within the organization and under the manager at former stops, that are making a ton of mistakes. Watching their games, I don't feel like they've been played off the pitch. This weekend was an interesting conversation for sure, but at no point in time have I looked and gone, they're not good enough to be on this field. It looks like a team that needs a little bit of leadership and lady luck to break their way and to get out of their own way, because they've put together some really impressive things. And I'll be honest, given the way that they want to attack, I'm not overly convinced about what this is going to look like on the weekend. I'm concerned for them defensively, but attacking-wise, I actually see this game setting up quite nicely because of how San Antonio commits so much on the outside and the channels opening up for them.
We do tend to get goals on CBS. We do have that going for us. Dev, we are in San Antonio, the final weekend of college basketball season as well, the Final Four. The semis are the day before us. Duke, Houston, Auburn, Florida. Give me your bracket the rest of the way.
Ironically, I've actually in Joe Malfa's pool. I'm currently sitting 7th. The best I can is 3rd, which means I need Auburn to play Duke. I need Auburn to win it. If I get a run by Houston, I can finish 5th. I'd rather take the 3rd. I got Auburn winning over Duke. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't tell Mike Friedman with the Houston background, executive producer.
I know. I'm kind of rooting for Houston. Go Dogs. Underdogs, that is. They're cats. Yeah. I feel like such a schmuck because I had Duke going out like 3 rounds ago because I thought Cooper Flagg would be injured. Cooper Flagg?
He's not.
He's not. No, he's very much fine.
Do you want the Duke-Florida matchup that everybody wants from the years of yore?
No, I'm fine with that. And
cool.
Duke's going to win the national championship. Dev, did you learn anything in this show?
I learned that it was possible for once, you and I, not to be in sync when it came to wardrobe decisions. Love that kit you're wearing from Oakland.
Yeah, absolutely. And I learned it is possible to wear a kit that doesn't frame your rack. This is 2X is my size. For Devin, Emmett, Mike, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Sunday and then again on Tuesday. So long, everybody.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.